Yennefer is a character in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt who's known for having a very strong backbone and being Geralt's lover. And if we're just being genuine, I think we enjoyed every moment that we had with Yennefer over the moments that we had with Triss. I mean, sure, Yennefer can have some of Triss's traits like being more kind, more understanding. I mean, Yennefer is understanding, but she has her own way of thinking. She wants to be right, mayhaps. And that can be a huge turnoff for some players, where they end up picking Triss because they don't like the way Yennefer acts, and that's totally understandable. But when you dive into Geralt's mind, you start to realize that, oh, Yennefer is the best option for Geralt, and this is simply backed up by the fact that Geralt sees Yennefer as a soulmate, his other half, the most important person in his life, apart from Ciri, and he views Triss as his girlfriend. Now when we dive into the world of The Witcher, like really dive into it, we tend to see more encounters between Yennefer and Geralt compared to Triss and Geralt himself. A perfect example for this is the story of the djinn. So Dandelion went into the river, he released the djinn accidentally and that djinn attacked him. And moments after this, Geralt decided to go to the town of Rinde and seek help from Yennefer, telling her that Dandelion got injured by the djinn and he needed her help. And immediately they had their encounter with the djinn. Yennefer tried to have the djinn captured because she wanted to use the djinn for her own selfish desires. But the djinn ended up attacking Yennefer, and the only way that she could be saved at this point was if Geralt stepped in. Geralt had to make a wish, so the wish that Geralt made was to have him and Yennefer binded for eternity unless the djinn killed Geralt. And it was after this whole shenanigans happened that Yennefer and Geralt became really close. They became more close than they were back in the day, because now they started seeing each other as soulmates. Now, The Witcher 3 offers a lot of quests related to Yennefer. And the first quest, where you end up having an encounter with Yennefer, her physical form and not the dream form, is the quest of Lilac and Gooseberries. So during this quest of Lilac and Gooseberries, you specifically have to find where Yennefer is. And Yennefer leaves Geralt a letter saying that she's in Vizima and they must meet as soon as possible. So Geralt ends up taking a contract from a Nilfgaardian captain where he has to kill the Royal Griffin in order to obtain the exact location of Yennefer. And obviously Geralt manages to kill the Royal Griffin with Vesemir. Then he goes back to the Nilfgaardian captain, he tells him that he's killed the Royal Griffin, and the Nilfgaardian captain tells him that Yennefer is in Vizima. What Yennefer had originally told Geralt was that he should ride to Willowberry near Vizima, not that he was actually in Vizima. So Geralt gets all pissed because he could have just told Geralt the exact location of Yennefer, but then if the captain ended up telling Geralt the exact location of Yennefer, Geralt wouldn't have killed the Royal Griffin in the first place. So then you end up riding to Vizima, and then you eventually encounter Yennefer after a kind of bloody bar fight with some Nilfgaardian individuals.
They won't back down now. I can see that.
Yennefer and Geralt are happy to see each other, but they cannot embrace each other because they're in public, and she came specifically on business. So Yennefer just cuts straight to the point and tells Geralt that Emperor Emhyr is looking for him on specific business that he will tell Geralt himself. So they end up riding back to the royal palace of Vizima, where they're encountered by the Wild Hunt but eventually escape, and they reach the royal palace of Vizima. And after this, Geralt is given some maintenance, and then he goes to meet with the Emperor Emhyr, who tells him about Ciri. So after the whole conversation about Ciri, Geralt ends up going back to Yennefer, and they end up sharing a kiss of goodbye, and that she will be in Skellige waiting for Geralt to come back. So it's after Geralt had finished his investigations in Novigrad and Velen that he goes to Skellige to meet up with Yennefer. So when Geralt arrives at Skellige, he goes to Kertrode, and then he sees the funeral taking place, of which he later learns that the funeral was for the late King Bran. And with the death of King Bran, Skellige was to find a new ruler. So Yennefer and Geralt end up catching up after the funeral, and then she invites him to a wake that was supposed to happen that evening. Of course, Geralt accepts the offer, and then he eventually has to wear a doublet, which obviously Geralt does not want to wear. So Geralt and Yennefer meet up at the wake, and then Yennefer tells Geralt the main reason why she has come for the wake itself. She tells Geralt that she wants to steal the mask of Ouroboros from Hermione's laboratory. So Geralt accepts, not just because he loves her, but because the reason behind stealing the mask was to find Ciri. So they become more careful trying to reach Hermione's laboratory, but they encounter two guards where they have to hide behind the curtain, and they end up sharing a moment of affection. So after this moment passes, they end up breaking into his lab, they manage to get the mask of Ouroboros and try to track Ciri down. So after Geralt finishes his business with the mask, he ends up taking a contract from priestesses to kill a werewolf in Freya's garden. Morgvag was obviously not just a werewolf by birth, but he was cursed by his own friend Einar, so Geralt has a choice whether to release Morgvag from his curse or end up killing Morgvag before or after he is transformed from being a werewolf.
Come on, a spoonful for Daddy.
Keep in mind that the main reason why Geralt and Yennefer even came to Freya's garden was to find Skjall. So Skjall was believed to be a coward by the villagers because he supposedly fled the Wild Hunt when they came to attack. Now the main reason why the Wild Hunt came to attack was because Ciri was in love with him. After Geralt found the body of Skjall, Yennefer decided to use necromancy to bring Skjall for a short time so that they can ask questions about Ciri. So Skjall reveals everything to Geralt and Yennefer of how they shared a moment before they ended up fleeing from the Wild Hunt, and Ciri ended up fleeing with an elven mage. It is after this that Yennefer finally lets Skjall rest in peace, leaves him alone, but Freya's garden is ultimately destroyed. And after this whole shenanigans, Yennefer then asks Geralt for a favor, and she wants him to meet her in Larvik, and Geralt obviously has to agree. So after this, Geralt meets up with Yennefer in Larvik, and they talk about the plan to capture the Djinn. So Yennefer and Geralt go underwater sea diving, but of course Geralt has to be the one sea diving. So Yennefer gives Geralt the ability to breathe underwater for a set amount of time, and Geralt is able to look underwater, and he ends up finding a broken seal. So after Geralt finds this broken seal, he and Yennefer teleport back to the shipwreck on the mountaintop. And after further investigations in the shipwreck, they end up finding a seal, and Yennefer connects both seals together. And this is when the real fun starts, because Geralt and Yennefer have to fight this Djinn. So Geralt and Yennefer fight the Djinn, and they both win. So after managing to capture the Djinn, Yennefer asks the Djinn for one and only one wish, to break the spell that binds her and Geralt together. This is because she wanted to see if Geralt would still love her even after the spell is broken. So the Djinn grants that wish and is broken free from its torture. So Yennefer and Geralt sit and began to ask each other questions of how they actually feel about each other even now.
I love you, Yen.
And I love you.
And the rest of the scenes with Yennefer were just about how they managed to defeat the Wild Hunt.
What?
And of course, if you end up choosing the path to romance Yennefer, she will end up staying with Geralt permanently in Corvo Bianco. Now this is why I actually think that Yennefer is the best option for Geralt. Yennefer still decides to romance Geralt even after finding out that Geralt slept with Triss. And you can feel the pain that Yennefer felt because she considers Triss a sister, and knowing that Geralt slept with her own sister broke her heart. But she ended up having to go through with it because she loved Geralt. And even though Triss might be the kinder option for Geralt because of Yennefer's bossiness, at the end of the day, Geralt loves Yennefer more, and that's the person who Geralt's heart chose. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know who you would prefer personally, Yennefer or Triss. Or would you prefer the other girls in the DLCs of The Witcher? Please let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever I post a new video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.